Matt just told me that he spent $1,000 just on this lav mic, but he's hating on my spec choices on the MacBook Pros. Huh, Matt?
Damn it! I screwed myself over.
So I recently purchased the new M3 MacBook Pro, and a part of me kept wondering, did I waste my money? What is the right model to get? How much RAM is too much? Should I be getting the 14-inch or the 16-inch? Are there Windows options out there? Space black or silver? And of course, did I even get the right spec?
Yeah, what did you go with, Tausif? Why don't you tell us?
Okay.
And we're off, mates, on another adventure. Okay, I'm actually getting late. Sorry, Matt. If you're watching this, you know I was pretty late today, so yeah, my bad.
So every year, anytime there's a new laptop or when I'm trying to buy a computer, I always go to Matthew because he is the authority for me on laptops and computers. If you want to know about colors, you listen to me. If you want to know about actual specs, you listen to Matthew.
So Matt's about 40 minutes from where I live, and oh boy, this was a fun drive. But look, I gotta say something about Matt, okay? He is an absolute stand-up guy. So I remember when I was an even smaller creator than I am right now, and I remember reaching out to Matt, and he wouldn't hesitate to give me his time or to help me out with anything. And in this YouTube space, there's a lot of people that once they grow to that level where they're like 4 to 5 times bigger than you, they're not even gonna give you the light of day. Not Matt though, and I really respect him for that. Absolute stand-up guy.
Okay guys, so we're back here again with round 2. So every year we usually have these new Mac releases or new computer releases, and I always come over to Papa Bless here.
Still don't know what that means, but I've been blessed.
I'm here to see Big Papa Bless of Toronto, Matthew Moniz. As I was mentioning, we're here with the legend Papa Bless, Matt Moniz. Why do I call you that?
What is a Papa Bless?
And I mean, as I mentioned, Matt's the guy that I go to for all computer stuff. He knows the stuff, whether it's PCs or whether it's Macs or anything computer related. So today we're going to be talking about the new M3 MacBook Pros. So right off the bat, Matt, I got to ask you the most important question. What color?
I mean, space black. I mean, come on, that's the color to get.
Have you liked
you know?
it? What were your thoughts on it actually, like with the actual coating and everything?
Yeah,
Does it work?
so like if you I haven't cleaned it since I got this on Friday, okay?
Okay.
And I haven't cleaned it at all since basically I've gotten it, and you can see there's like very little.
It's actually not bad at all.
Yeah, it's actually not bad at all. Like you can see like a little bit here, but like it actually hides the fingerprints better than the M2 Max Silver or Space Gray rather, because I don't know what kind of seal they're using. It just does a better job. Like obviously this is not pure black. Like this is more of like a dark gray, because if it was a pure black, it would like match the center over here. Yeah. But most of the fingerprints are usually like you can tell all over the keyboard, right? Like showing it.
Yeah.
Over here on the touchpad, you can see fingerprints mostly over here though. That's where like the major fingerprints are. It's basically on the keyboard.
Because that always happens with every year.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, look, if they didn't go 100% black, so they copped out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I have
the Razer blade?
Hold on.
You have the Razer blade? That's the most beautiful matte black laptop.
Okay, so here is a Razer blade. See, I should put the top head camera down.
You can see it.
But look, you can see all the fingerprints. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Look how gross that looks.
Yeah.
And like, it just picks up fingerprints. And this has like an anti-fingerprint resistant material on it. Yeah. And this is actually a lot better than the previous Razer blades. The previous Razer blades were actually worse than this. But yeah, if they went completely black, they'd have a tougher time.
Also, I mean, God knows what you do with that laptop, right?
That's true. I am on, you're pretty late at night, you know, looking at the late. No, I was joking.
High level, Matt. I got to ask you, what were your thoughts on the actual event when you saw it and the comparisons they were doing to all M1 Maxes, by the way, or M1 chip computers?
Well, I mean, so there's a couple of things. A lot of people were saying, oh, why are they comparing it to M1 Max instead of the M2? And usually when you're doing that type of stuff, as a company, as a business, you want to make the computers feel and look as fast as possible. So obviously you're going to compare it to an M1 Max. But it also begs the question on whether it's a big performance update compared to the M2, right? Which is the previous generation. Honestly, the entire event, like as cool as it was to watch and experience, I feel like it was more of a, it could have been done through a news release.
News release.
Right? Just because it was all It was basically a processor bump. You know, there really wasn't any new hardware. It was just, except for the MacBook Pro 14, which is technically not new hardware. It's just a new CPU. But I get why Apple did it, right? Because like this is the next big jump from their previous architecture to 3 nanometer, which makes things just a lot more efficient and fast.
What do you think people feel who got that M2 chip? We said, did you get the M2 chip?
I did. I mean, I've been using the MacBook Pro M2 Max since it came out, and like I've been 100% happy with it. Like even if this didn't come out, like I would still be using it and be happy with it.
Do you think people, like you're in the tech space, so you probably made big purchases, but you don't mind because it's all, you know, review stuff. But what do you think people felt when the M2 chip just came out like 9 months ago and then they dropped these?
I mean, like here's the thing, like someone who's in the PC space a lot, like there's a new laptop every month, right? It's just the way it is. Like, and Apple's generally releases their product cycle a little bit later than everybody else. This one was a little bit faster, but this was more of a delayed release. Like the M3 technically was supposed to come out last year, right? But they decided to...
They skipped a year after M1, right?
Yeah, they skipped a year, right? So then they came out with the M2 and then quickly came out with the M3. But here's the thing, like even if you waited till next year, would it make that much of a difference, you know?
Fair.
Right? Like it'd still be just as fast. And there's also a lot of stuff coming from Intel in the near future, which I feel like Apple's kind of worried about. Because they're doing some new stuff with their architecture, so they don't want to get this out before them. But again, like...
I think there's new chips coming out soon.
Yeah, in December they're announcing their Meteor Lake, which is their name for their next generation of CPUs. And based on the leaked stuff that I've seen so far, it's supposed to be 30% more efficient, better battery life. You get 30% more performance. So there's that. But I don't think it's going to come close to in terms of battery life and all that kind of stuff to the M3 architecture.
Okay, we'll get. I want to ask you about that comparison to the PC world. But before we get into that, okay, what specs did you go with?
Okay, so again, this is not mine. I didn't buy this. This is a review unit. So the Apple sent reviewers the M3 Max completely spec'd out, like 8 terabytes, 128 gigabytes of unified memory. Basically, it's like a $10,000 Canadian laptop, right?
That's a lot.
Now, personally, if I'm going to the store and buying one, I probably would. Honestly, I probably wouldn't buy one right now. I'd stick to my M1 Pro because it's been fine. Like it was fine. Like I didn't have like sometimes you know with more layers on the timeline, it could be a little slower, but it was fine. You know, the M2 Max that I had previously. That was fine too. Like it was way more power than I needed for the type of video work that I do. This, to me, is like, okay, I can not buy a new laptop for like 5 years, at least, you know? So, but yeah, 120 gigabytes of unified memory for someone who does YouTube videos is completely overkill. Like that type of memory is for someone who's doing more 3D work or something that's a lot more RAM intensive. You know?
Fair.
Yeah. What did you go with, Tausif? Why don't you tell us?
Okay.
Did you combine two of them together with a USB-C cable for 256?
So I was watching our last year's video when we did the same thing, and you were already upset at me for going with the M1 Max at that point. So I'm happy to report to you that I did go maxed out specs. So I went.
That's a good first step.
Max. I went full 128 GB RAM.
Wow. Okay.
And 8 terabytes.
Wow.
So
you got the same spec.
I got the same spec, except Apple didn't bless me yet.
Well, so. this is going back to Apple, so I don't get to be blessed for too long. But that's
you are
crazy.
The Papa blessed, so
that's true. I am. But like seriously, that's overkill.
Yeah.
For what you do.
Yeah.
But like you.
But here's the thing. Okay. So I. Been watching how much RAM usage I actually have, and I'm always near my 64 gigabytes.
Really?
Yeah, like for some reason, I don't even have much open. Like I usually have my Final Cut, maybe Photoshop, Lightroom, and some Chrome windows or something like that. But I'm always like on the tip.
Okay, but you notice that, but is it affecting your performance or editing the video that you're editing?
Subconsciously,
it's eating at you.
It's holding me back a little bit. You know, I feel like. I just gotta fly.
You have RAM,
like a peacock.
You have RAM anxiety. It's like people who buy an electric vehicle, they have battery anxiety. You have RAM anxiety.
Yeah, fair. And like even with 4 terabytes, dude, I am always on the edge.
Really?
Like, always looking to like, and that's with hard drives that I have connected that I keep offloading to. Yeah, I just have like. And the thing is, I don't even record in ProRes like you. So.
I don't. Well, that's the thing. Like, okay, so we need to redo your setup then.
Yeah.
Because First of all, I work off external drives, right? So the way I have mine set up is I work off an external drive. So I could literally use a Mac with 512 gigabytes of storage if I really wanted to. I can work off an external drive, and then I have a big NAS that I back up the footage to afterwards.
Okay.
That's probably like the best way to do it. This way you don't have to
do you edit off the NAS or?
I can. Like I get about 1,000 megabytes a second read and about 600, which is more than enough for 4K, right?
Fair.
But I just have it auto back up that drive every night just in case something happens to that drive, right? And then when I'm done editing what I'm editing, I push it over to the NAS and it sits there. But because like, let's be honest here, Apple's prices for SSDs are like criminal. They're criminal. And same with RAM upgrades. Like it's ridiculous, you know? Like it's not even normal. Like if you were to upgrade yourself, if you could, it would cost you like $30, $40 tops, right? So it's a bit ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, like you're good. And even your kids, when they grow up, that M3 Max that you bought is probably still fast enough for them.
So when I got the M1 Max, I remember last year telling you that this is my long-term laptop.
Right.
And I mean, I somewhat held to my word. I didn't get the M2s.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
So I
that's
got
good.
some credit here.
Progress.
Right? So I didn't get the M2s, but with the M3, I gotta say the color kind of pushed me over the edge.
See, I don't even notice the color after 10 minutes.
Fair
you know,
enough,
like I look at it, I'm like, it's nice, and then I forget about it because then it becomes a tool. But I get it. You know, like you're on this every day. This is your main setup. You know, like it's just the way it is.
I use this more than the amount of time, like hours I sleep in a day, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is like it's what you're touching the most.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little weird, but it's true. It's what you're touching the most. It's true because it's what you're working on all day. But I think for most people, you know, it's important not to get like engulfed in all the hype and just kind of sit back and ask yourself, what do I really need? Like if you're someone who's starting a video career or programming or whatever it is, you're totally fine with like an M3 or even an M3 Pro. Even if you actually forget the M3 Pro, you're better off getting something like the M2 Pro, which is still available in some stores, right? That's what I would do. Like if I was buying a new MacBook right now, I'd be looking for an M2 Pro.
Pro?
Yeah. I'm looking for an M2 Pro. That's what I would be doing. I'd be saving
M2,
not M1 Pro. M2 Pro because from the results I've seen so far, the M3 Pro, which we don't have here right now, unfortunately, kind of performs very similar, and you just get a better deal if you can find an M2 Pro lying around.
Got it. Okay, but you don't get the black color, of course. But
that's true. I mean, you could spray paint it or just get a D-brand skin. Well, this is not sponsored by them, but like you know, you could, right? There's ways around it. So
fair. I hear. So okay. So I guess that kind of leads into my next question: is what are your thoughts on the entry level? Because now we have M3 chip rather than the M3 Pro and the M2 Pro for the beginning.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I thought about this a lot. When I first heard it was announced, I was like, oh, this is a great idea, right? And then I wasn't processing it because I was at the event. It was late at night, and then I got back. I made the video, and then the next day I'm like, looked at all the prices, and I'm like, wait, $15.99 for base M3 and a Pro laptop with only 8 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah. That's like that shouldn't be right, you know. So I thought about it, and I think for most people, if you're looking at the M3 MacBook Pro for $15.99, I'd honestly just consider an M1 Air. Like if you're just using it for school and stuff, right? Like the M1 Air is still way more than capable. Yeah. And then if you want something a little bit faster, maybe M2 Air 13-inch, because as soon as you go up to the 15-inch, it's only $100 cheaper. Yeah. Right? With 16 gigabytes of RAM. So then you upsell it in your head. You know, you're like, oh, you know what? $100 more. I get the mini LED display, slightly more ports. I'm gonna buy it. But like the other two options, the MacBook Air 13 and the M1 Air, are significantly cheaper. So if you're just doing general stuff, that's what I would do. But I feel like that M3 MacBook Pro is just not meant for most people. I feel like it's just there for like corporations because usually their users just want something that has the word Pro in it, and that kind of like ticks the bill for them. And gives them the ports and whatnot if they need it. And then if you need more power, I'd probably just dip into like the base model M3 Pro. Yeah. Or again, find an M2 Pro. So from my understanding, at least when I was watching the event, I felt like maybe the M2 Pro was similar to the M3 base chip when it comes to CPU power, but GPU, I think M2 Pro still better, right? So M2, because they nerfed it a little bit from what I understand. There's one less GPU core, but I think the GPU cores do run faster on M3. Do they? Okay. But there's also the fact that the CPU is no longer 8 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. It's now 6 performance cores and 6 efficiency cores. And again, they obviously clock higher, which helps, but the performance difference is not as drastic. Maybe like 6%, 10% if you're lucky. Yeah. So it's like a hard justification if you can still find an M2 Pro. Again, unless you want like the space black color, right? That's
Which is so silly. I mean,
no, but you know what? A lot of people make some of those emotional choices based on color, and I get it. Like I get it. Like this is
that's half of my audience.
14-inch or 16-inch for you?
Yes. Actually, I was going to ask you that as well. So, dude, I've been going back and forth. I've been loving my 16. And the 14-inch also did tempt me quite a bit, especially with the... Oh, I need to come in a bit more. Okay. So, the 14-inch did tempt me a little bit, especially because of how portable it is and whatnot. But, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to stick with the 16 just because screen size. Size and the fans and everything like that. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm literally exactly with you. I've had like 4,000 mental discussions with myself about this. Trust me, I have like, oh, I want the 14. It's so much easier to carry if I travel, and I still get all that performance and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I just can't get over the bigger display. Like when you're editing a video, it just makes such a big difference. Yeah. So you know what? For an extra £1, I'll just suck it up. Yeah. Plus, when I do travel with it, it's nice to have, and I leave the laptop like in the safe in the hotel room because that's where I usually edit anyways. Yes. So if I'm going to like the floor to record.
Which hotel will you be in next time?
I don't know. We'll see next year.
Yes, you know?
I will be at CS this year, but I haven't booked the hotel yet, but I'm going to be there this year.
Just let me know.
This guy's trying to dox me. And where's your house? Don't mind having a smaller screen, then obviously 14 inches is the way to go.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that switch to the 14 and they love it because of the traveling aspect of it. But for me, even when I did travel with the 16-inch, I found that when I got to the destination, it was actually more helpful for me to have that bigger screen, especially when you're editing and you have multiple
and better battery life.
And better battery life as well. And I don't think I still yet to hear the fans on my M1 Max.
You're going to hear them on this guy.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's the first thing I noticed.
Wow.
So I put this in my review. I was comparing it to the M2 Max in terms of fan noise. The fans on this kick on significantly faster.
That's actually surprising.
And they actually get loud, like 53, I measured at 53 decibels.
Oh, wow.
Which is gaming laptop territory.
That's actually interesting.
Yeah, it's because the chip in this and the M3 runs hotter than the M2 and M1, so the fans kick on a little bit quicker. Also, that's on high, so I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's a high power mode if you buy the Max version of these laptops, right? So when you leave it on the Max version, the fans will kick on quicker and sooner. But if you don't put on the Max version, you leave it on automatic, then the fans won't get that loud at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do lose performance. I actually did test it with both, and you do lose like 10-15%.
And the 14-inch doesn't have that.
I don't think it does. I don't remember 100%, but you might. Yeah, I think you're right.
I know M1 they didn't have it. I haven't checked this.
I'm pretty sure it's the same thing because there's more cooling space in here, right?
Cooling space.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
But I mean, what else could they do? Like, how could they make this better for you?
Honestly, there's nothing else. I mean, obviously make it lighter, but like how are you going to do that,
Like, would you be happier with an OLED screen on here?
Honestly, everyone's like, oh, OLED. Like, I love OLED. Like, I wish OLED was on everything, but mini LED is so good and so close enough that that's not a big priority for me. Like, you know, it has the high refresh rate. You know, there's multiple ports now, like the previous one. I think it's fine. It just needs to be lighter, obviously. But I mean, it's not even that heavy to begin with.
How do you think this compares to the Windows space? Or do you think that Intel, AMD, and all of these guys are really going to kick back with their own versions of something similar?
There's still, I mean, it depends what you're doing. It really depends what you're doing, right? Like if you're doing 3D work, don't even look at MacBooks. Like don't even go into the store because you're going to get 1,000 times better performance with a laptop that has an RTX card inside of it.
For the dollar especially.
Yeah, that entire industry is wrapped around CUDA cores and NVIDIA GPUs, okay? Right off the bat. But in terms of like, if you're buying a laptop to edit video, I actually measured the fastest PC laptop. It's still faster than the M3 Max in Adobe Premiere Pro, for example, okay? But in After Effects, the MacBook Pro is actually faster, and same with Photoshop. So it depends on what you're doing. But like, even though technically these PCs, in some cases, are faster, you're buying them, but you're also getting no battery life, you're getting insane fan noise, you're not getting the same finesse you're getting with this, so like a haptic touchpad, you know, mini LED displays are out now, but like those little things that people buy MacBooks for. But like, yeah, and if you game, like forget about it. Apple's really pushing gaming on the MacBook Pro, but like there's 1.5 games. Talking about the M3 chip being very gaming capable, and that's not true at all. Like the regular M3, kind of sucks for gaming, but the M3 Max, very capable. It's just, you know, what are you going to play? Baldur's Gate and World of Warcraft? Like there's
League of Legends.
League of Legends, right? Like there's nothing really for it. So
would you be able to get the same sort of performance or similar for cheaper?
Absolutely.
with Windows?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like, for example, one of the laptops I benched was the Asus Scar 17, a gaming laptop. This is AMD's processor. They have the fastest processor on a laptop right now on the PC side.
Okay.
And it's like half the cost of this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe like, actually, no, it's not half the cost. Maybe like 3,000, whereas this is what, 10 Canadian? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Now is, okay, just trying to figure out who should get what spec. So for example, let's say we start off, the average person who has seen the M3 MacBook Pros and they're excited about it, should they even look at this, or should they just consider like a refurbished M2?
I mean, an average, like just for like general everyday stuff?
General everyday stuff,
like
not
I said,
at all this, right?
I wouldn't even, I would honestly buy an M1 Air or find an M2 Pro.
Okay.
Those are the two I'd go with if you're like starting off. If you need performance to edit video, just getting into editing video.
Yes.
M2 Pro for sure, if there's any supply left. If not, base M3 Pro, I would go for.
So base M3 Pro, not M3.
Base M3 Pro. If you're doing like video editing and stuff, and you're getting into that kind of
so
stuff.
somebody who's like, like a basic, just trying to get into it maybe part-time.
Because I think it starts at 18 gigabytes of RAM instead of 16, so that's kind of nice. So I'd start with that if you're just getting into it part-time.
Yeah.
And then obviously...
And would you upgrade like the memory, storage, anything there?
Not for a first-time user. Like you're just learning. You don't know if you're going to stick with it. That 18 gigabytes of RAM will last you a few years, no problem. Unified memory works a lot differently than Windows. So like having 18 gigabytes of RAM is like having more than 18 on a Windows machine. So that will help out. And if you're a pro user, I think you already know what you want. Like most pro users, like who are doing anything, already have what they want in their head. Like they know better than I do, right? Fair. So that's how I kind of look at it.
And if we go with the Max chip, so when I was speccing mine out, I saw like there are two different options in terms of like the cores and CPU. And I saw like, could you explain to me how come the first option allowed you to get like, I think it was like 98 or 94 gigabytes of RAM or something like that?
Oh,
or like,
so it's all an upsell.
Yeah.
It's all an upsell. So this Apple is like the best at upselling you to the next step up. So like you'll see, let's say, 18 gigabytes of RAM, right? But the next one will be, you get more storage plus more RAM or whatever it is. It's like the base model M3 Max has less CPU cores than the previous version. So they make you say, oh wait, for $100 more, I can get more cores or whatever it is. Like, that's kind of just what they're doing.
You get the 14, 30, 16.
Yeah.
But then you have these options like the 96 and 36.
Right.
But then when I do this, I no longer can choose 96, which would have been a nice jump from 64. I have to go to the 128. So I was curious why that's happening, and is that like just a different kind of chip that they're using that?
Yeah, so they're making two SKUs, like they're cutting two SKUs on the fab, right? And then they're pairing it with a certain amount of RAM per SKU, because it's all fused, right? Like it's not like in a PC where you can buy the RAM separately. Like everything is like literally talking to each other.
It's a one
So just the way they cut it up, so they probably met with the marketing department and be like, well, if we give them 96 and then, $100 more, you got $400 more, you got 128. So we'll just cut it up like that,
Yeah. And what would be the main difference between something like this, like just between the 1430 16 or the 1640?
So you're getting 2 more CPU cores and 10 more GPU cores. So yeah, you'll get you'll obviously get better performance with the one for $300 more, but it just depends what you're doing. Like if it's more CPU intensive, I don't think 2 extra cores are gonna make that big of a deal. But 10 extra GPU cores will have a nice performance uplift. So if you're doing a lot of like After Effects or 3D work or anything that's graphically related, then 10 more cores will help.
I'm actually surprised to see like going from 64 to 120. I mean, that's not too bad of a...
That's terrible. That is terrible. Do you know how much 64 gigabytes of RAM costs?
How much?
Like 150 to $200.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, this is not unified memory.
Yeah.
And someone's going to say that in the comments. Well, it's not unified memory, Tausif. But the thing is, they were doing this before unified memory. They were doing this with regular memory, the same sort of massive price jump. So it's just, it sucks, but it's just the way it is.
And storage-wise as well, it's really...
same idea. Like
expensive.
4 terabytes you can buy for, again, a couple $100.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And actually, that's one thing Apple's not the king of anymore, is having fast storage speeds. Like you can buy a Gen 5 PCIe drive for Windows that performs just as fast, if not faster.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so we've, I think we've pretty much covered everything, and we've, again, gotten to the point where I have to admit that I did make a mistake with my order. addict.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm
One day at a
trying.
time.
I'm trying, yeah. But so your spec, you said you're going to go with the M3 Pro, right?
For like a new person, yeah. But I could totally get away with an M3 Pro. Yeah, that's.
But
yeah.
you personally, what
I'm
are you
gonna. I'm gonna buy.
max
I'm gonna buy.
Come on, yeah.
I'm gonna. Well, I'm waiting for. I haven't seen the full results. Like I've seen a few YouTube videos posted on the M3 Pro, but I want to know like how it performs first. Because basically what I'm seeing, it's not like previous Pros where it was like a nice one to get. It's very similar to previous models, so that has me kind of worried.
That's actually surprising to me because considering that this is your like job and you're pretty much like one of the top dogs in this area.
Definitely not, but thank you. I appreciate it. Keep going.
You definitely are, right? I would assume like, you'd just be like, okay, what's the best thing I can buy?
Yeah.
For the most amount of time savings or most amount of performance, and let's just buy, because that's like one brand deal for you, right?
No, it's not. But yeah, I get that reasoning, but like the reason why I don't do that is because it's not making my job faster, right? Like going from M3 Pro to M3 Max is not going to make me edit videos faster. It might make the render times faster.
You feel good though.
It will make me feel good. It make me feel good. And like in a perfect world where like, I don't know, like I try to like look at this as if I was a normal everyday consumer, because I'm stuck in this space where, we get all these products in. So like I'm not the normal consumer anymore, but I try to put myself out of that so I can be like, if I was that person now, what would I buy today? And for me, I'd be like leaning towards that M3 Pro.
Well, you're a better man than me, man. You're a better man than me. I appreciate your time again.
No problem, anytime, Tausif.
Thank you so much. And then we'll see you again the next M4s.
Yes, M4s.
And we'll see what's going on then. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And thank you, Matt, again.
No problem, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Peace. But okay, so
happy with
I'm
that?
taking this with me.
Yeah,
right?
go for it. Yeah.
You just tell Apple that you lost it.